This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Ethiopia's Prime Minister makes key security changes amid the ongoing conflict in the Tigray region. Leaders from across the world continue to share their congratulatory messages for Biden. And the excitement and inspiration as aviation charity helps vulnerable children take to the skies in South Africa. Hello and a warm welcome to Africa Live. I am Penny Nakaribe. Let's have a look at other stories lined up tonight. African countries weigh benefits of affordable used cars against potential damage to the environment. And in sports, Tanzania's biggest football derby attracts thousands of fans in the capital, Dar es Salaam. The Ethiopian Prime Minister has replaced his army, foreign ministry and intelligence chiefs as the military launches a new round of airstrikes in the Tigray region. He has also condemned the election there as illegal.
The general election that was scheduled for this year was postponed to 2021 due to COVID-19 through constitutional interpretation and decision of the House of Federation. The TPLF doubled down on their unconstitutional assertion and in a blunt violation of the Constitution, TPLF adopted its own illegal electoral law, an illegal electoral commission, and conducted an illegal election in which it won all the seats in the regional council.
Ethiopia's parliament voted to replace the current government in Tigray, and the conflict there has raised fears of a civil war. Tigray leaders have largely ruled Ethiopia for nearly 3 decades until Abiy came to power in 2018. They claim his mandate ran out when he postponed August elections due to the coronavirus. After days of uncertainty and counting, former Vice President Joe Biden has been hailed as the winner of the U.S. presidential election, defeating President Donald Trump. In a statement to the public, Biden urged unity and promised a new day for America.
Making an entrance to the sounds of Bruce Springsteen, Joe Biden stood at an outdoor stage in his hometown of Wilmington, Delaware, delivering a message of hope and healing to a crowd of cheering supporters and tens of millions more on live television.
This is the time to heal in America.
Biden also welcomed Kamala Harris to his team, not only the first female vice president in U.S. history, but also the first black woman and Indian American to hold such a position.
All the women who have worked to secure and protect the right to vote for over a century.
After an election marred by deep political divisions, there have been mixed reactions across America to Biden's victory.
I feel very strongly about this. Biden's going to change the world, the country. And you know what? This guy, he's already lost.
To me means everything. My mother is a disabled woman who's on Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare. And to know that Donald Trump is out and he can no longer mess with those programs is amazing.
I think Trump supporters are positive. I think that they know it's not over yet. The wind hasn't been taken out of our sails yet.
Now, as much of America is in a triumphant mood, Trump himself has refused to concede the election results. He's already filed a raft of lawsuits to challenge them, but U.S. election officials have dismissed claims of voter fraud. Brian Dorman, CGTN.
Reactions from Europe to the U.S. election have been coming in. Earlier, we spoke with a correspondent, Tony Waterman, in Brussels.
Well, this has really sparked a wave of relief across Europe. It has not been an easy 4 years for EU leaders who have often found themselves in the crosshairs of a Trump tirade. It's been particularly difficult for Germany, which has been a main target. Donald Trump has obsessed about a trade surplus and has not been particularly kind to the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. She, though, very diplomatic in his defeat, saying in a statement that she looked forward to future cooperation with President Biden, and she called the transatlantic relationship irreplaceable. That sentiment shared by French President Emmanuel Macron, whose failed bromance with Donald Trump culminated in $1.3 billion in tariffs put on French goods. He said in a tweet that we have a lot to do to overcome today's challenges. Let's work together. And that work could start as soon as early next week. That is when Emmanuel Macron and President-elect Joe Biden are expected to hold their first phone call. The Irish president also extending his congratulations, saying that he looks forward to the two countries working together to rebuild the much needed trust. And really, this victory for Joe Biden seen across Europe as an opportunity to hit the reset button on a relationship which had become increasingly frayed over the past 4 years. Donald Trump has pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Accord. He has walked away from the Iran nuclear deal, and he has threatened to exit the WHO during a global health pandemic. A lot of his actions have really bewildered and confused European leaders, and they're seeing this Joe Biden victory. They see him as a leader, somebody who shares in a lot of their same values and objectives.
Okay, Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the United States is his country's closest and most important ally. He was responding to a reporter who asked him if Biden's victory would scupper chances of a UK-US trade deal. Biden once called Johnson a clone of Trump, but Johnson said he was looking forward to working with Biden and his team.
Look, I mean, I think they're two wholly separate things. I've always been a great enthusiast for a trade deal with our European friends and partners. I think it's there to be done. The broad outlines are pretty clear. We just need to get on and do it if we can. And I've said that to Ursula von der Leyen just yesterday, and she totally agrees with me. But on the trade deal with the US, I'm a keen student of the United States trade policy, and they're tough negotiators. And I've never believed that this was going to be something that was going to be a complete pushover under any US administration. I think there's a good chance we'll do something.
As we mentioned earlier, the Ethiopian Prime Minister has replaced his army, foreign ministry and intelligence chiefs as the military launches a new round of airstrikes in the Tigray region. CGTN's Girum Chala with more on these developments.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's move of assigning new leadership into top government posts was simply unexpected. And according to official government communication, former army chief Adam Mohammed is now replaced by his deputy Brahanu Jula. Demelash Gabra Mikhail, the head of intelligence, is replaced by Temesgen Turune, the outgoing Amhara regional state's president. And Demeka Mekonnen, deputy prime minister of the country, will now add the post of foreign minister as part of his duty. Apart from these major assignments, the prime minister has appointed a new deputy chief of army, new commissioner for the federal police, as well as new press secretary for his office. The office of the prime minister says these assignments are part of the prime minister's strategic moves to better govern the nation. On the other hand, the conflict in the north has continued between the nation's army and the Tigray regional state's special forces. Sources say new airstrikes and aggressive offensives were being undertaken on Sunday by defense forces. Power and communication networks remain largely cut off in Tigray, making it hard to access information from the region. Grumjala CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
While you're watching Africa Live, time for us to take a quick break. Still ahead on the program. African countries weigh benefits of affordable used cars against potential damage to the environment.
I saw the clouds moving and I was so happy and amazed. Then and we spinned around like 360 degrees and it was too fast. Yo.
Plus, the excitement and inspiration as aviation charity helps vulnerable children to take to the skies in South Africa.
Africa is a continent of diversity, with varied climates and enchanting geography, and a people so distinct, but with a shared enduring spirit. We are at the heart of the continent to bring you the untold stories.
Let's have a look.
We celebrate Africa as it shapes its own destiny.
Tunis, Cairo,
Juba,
Johannesburg,
Ethiopia,
Tanzania.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
The United Nations Environment Programme is calling for tighter restrictions on the trade in used cars, saying older vehicles pose a danger to the environment. The agency says 80% of used vehicles exported worldwide between 2015 to 2018 went to low and middle-income countries, with half going to Africa. As CGTN's Isabel Nakiri reports, some countries in Africa have put in place minimum quality standards.
Francis Kinakule is a used car trader in Uganda. He says he is aware of the dangers that used cars pose to the environment, but claims exports to Uganda are not properly checked before arrival.
Unfortunately, sometimes cars come to Uganda with some of those things in a sorry state. So we would wish that those people doing inspection might do us a good job and do quality inspection, so that by the time I purchase something, I am sure of what I am purchasing.
The UN Environment Programme faults countries for having weak policies in regulating the importation of used cars past their prime. In Uganda, vehicles are inspected at the points of entry to ensure that cars older than 15 years are not allowed into the country, but this does not apply to trucks. Customs officials say trucks are graded according to tonnage, meaning even older trucks are allowed in. In 2018, Uganda enforced a law banning the importation of vehicles older than 15 years. In 2019, the country registered a 12% decline in the importation of second-hand vehicles, and authorities say the measure is producing good results.
We had Ugandans who would change vehicles like garments every year. Someone is driving a completely different vehicle, but of late, someone drives a vehicle for a period of 3 to 5 years, others 5 to 10 years, before they could think of changing to a new vehicle.
The regulations also require buyers of used vehicles to pay an environment tax, which is 50% of the cost of the car. This has made buying older cars expensive, but car dealers deny this measure will control pollution.
I don't believe that the older the model, the bad the car. There are cars of 2005 model, but with 10,000 mileage. And there's a car of 2016, 100,000 mileage. So which of the two is the older car? I don't think we can rate a car depending on the model or manufacture, how bad it is. I think the grading would give us a clear picture if it was done well.
But authorities insist Uganda is importing high-quality cars since the environment and safety inspection standards were tightened. Uganda's neighbor Kenya does not allow the importation of cars older than 8 years. But several car dealers like Francis warn buying old cars has led to job losses and will make it harder for people on low incomes to afford a car. Isabel Nakiria, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
In Ethiopia, the new eco-friendly Entoto Park, located in the Entoto forest just outside of Addis Ababa, is set to host the postponed 2020 Great Ethiopian Run in January. The brainchild of retired Ethiopian distance running legend Haile Gebrselassie, it is the biggest road race in Africa. CGTN's Coletta Wanjohi brings us more.
On the outskirts of Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, lies the Entoto forest. For years, the only people who came here were either women collecting firewood to sell or Ethiopia's legendary long-distance runners to train. Now, the hope is that people from around the world will visit it. That is because the forest is now home to the country's first-ever carbon-neutral health park.
No vehicle with diesel and carbon emission will be allowed in that area. So that is a different one, a health park. So it's a historical park because Ethiopia is known for its athletes. You see, athletes still now make their exercise, physical exercise in that area. So when we open it, it will be a health park. People go and make physical exercise either by jogging, running, or riding bicycles or riding a horse.
The multipurpose park was built mostly with local materials and includes indoor and outdoor centers for physical activities. It also has a library, restaurants, fountains, walkways, and bicycles and scooter lanes.
I'm standing on top of what they call the suspended restaurant. They call it so because it has been constructed on top of literary space. There's just a river, a small river that passes underneath. And from here we can get an idea of how vast the Entoto forest is. And the forest is located at close to 3,000 meters above sea level.
This is part of the Sheger River project, an initiative by Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to develop natural areas and in the process clean up rivers and create thousands of new jobs.
These projects have not been financed through public funds. They have been done through the goodwill of the Prime Minister and the partnerships that he has established and the friendship that he's established. So none of them have gone into government coffers as well.
But some critics have argued that the government is destroying the forest while setting up the park.
Maximum effort is made to minimize the damage to the forest. Okay, so the service area, the hotels, and the areas where buildings are developed are selected in the Entoto Park where there is no or minimum trees are there. You see, so it is done deliberately, just to minimize the damage to the forest.
Next month, the Great Ethiopian Run, a company owned by the legendary athlete Haile Gebrselassie, will organize an athletics competition here. The Ethiopian government is hoping that beyond sports, parks like this will boost both tourism and the economy. Coletta Wanjohi, CGTN, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
An initiative in South Africa has been bringing aviation to orphans and underprivileged kids in the country. Volunteer pilots give these children the experience of flying and the message that anything is possible. CGTN's Tuli Shabalala has that story.
This is the Orient Airfield in Magaliesburg in South Africa. This year, it is the location for the children's flight. The annual initiative gives underprivileged children the opportunity to be among the clouds.
What I think I'm gonna do, like when I'm up in the air, I wanna look through the window and see downwards what's happening down. Yeah, we flew up, like we're in the clouds. Like I saw the clouds moving, and I was so happy and amazed. And we spinned around like 360 degrees, and it was too fast. Yo, that was great.
The success of the children's flight is made possible through the support from the aviation industry and dozens of pilots who volunteer their time.
Ogani is 16 years old. We took him out for his first introduction flight. He was quite a confident young kid, so we managed to do some aerobatics. He did a roll, he did a loop, he did 3 rolls, did a barrel roll. He was comfortable, loved it. Yeah, very special to take children who've never flown before up for a flight. Very special.
The children were selected from various children's homes in South Africa.
We want to
for one day make these children the most important people, the VIPs of some event. So these children who don't get the chance are now the VIPs. It's their show, they're the guests, we're here for them.
Organizers hope every year to inspire children with the message that anything is possible and that dreams can come true. Thuli Shabalala, CGTN.
And coming up in sports, Tanzania's biggest football derby attracts thousands of fans in the capital, Dar es Salaam.
It's just taken me completely out of my depth, but at the same time it's exciting. It's new, it's different, it's a challenge.
It's really exciting.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Africa Live. Find your